Where did you guys all get yours?
There's a good place on Melrose that specializes in Journey tattoos, so they do that and other.
I meant like on the thigh. Yeah.
Oh, where on the body? Yeah. Well, this is a rated E commentary.
So this is one of my favorite levels in the game, personally.
It's the first level that has a really dramatic color shift.
Right. I think it's very unexpected as well, because most people, when they see Journey, they're like, okay, it's desert, that's cool. But they're definitely not expecting to go underground or even underwater. Like some people, there is sort of this mystery of, is this underwater, is it underground, what is this space?
And that kind of mystery gives it a sense of, I don't know, magical quality, because and that's something that we definitely wanted to keep the player feeling, especially this moment where we are about to introduce more kind of life in the form of the cloth kelp.
This is very much a sort of Alice in Wonderland, down the rabbit hole kind of moment. I mean, kind of literally you fall into this area.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about the hero's journey much so far. I think this is probably something the player should know.
Fist symbol.
Different player, yeah. So when we design the journey, what the player has to go through, we design it based on Joseph Campbell, who is a comparative mythologist. He wrote multiple books about what he learned between multiple religions and folk tales and just these stories that has been passed around for thousands of years around the world, from Japan to Native America. And he found that among all these stories, they have this very similar story arc, similar structure. And Journey is very much like a faithful recreation based on the structure. And like John was mentioning about Alice in Wonderland, sliding down into the rabbit hole, enter a different magical kingdom. It actually happens in a lot of the things. And George Lucas, who wrote the original Star Wars, read the book, and he actually changed the story of Star Wars to be more faithfully following the hero's journey.
Which is what made Joseph Campbell famous.
Yes.
Was when Star Wars came out and made hundreds of millions of dollars, everyone said, well, how'd you come up with this? And he said Joseph Campbell, who was like this sort of quiet academic guy who suddenly found himself a celebrity.
One thing that, the reason why we did that was we really wanted to make Journey something that resonated deeply with people of all kind of backgrounds. And so we tried to hit upon kind of a deeper emotional story arc, and so that was kind of a way for us to figure that out.
I feel like that is one of the things that games can do so well. Like there's just something about kind of reaching that fundamental part of every person. I don't know, because you're interacting with it or for whatever reason, it's just a real strength of games as a medium. And it really lends itself to doing these very kind of fundamental human emotions.
Yeah, because there's no, the extension of not so much the narrative of the hero's journey and the monomyth, but also the fact that there's no language in the game, which we haven't talked about here either yet. But
well, that guy keeps saying fist.
So this whole area is where things start to get a little bit scary, and
a little dicey.
We kind of lead into that with the previous room where you actually fall through a broken floor and the music drops out, and we have these kind of statues that are lit from below in this kind of scary tone to set this eerie mood. A lot of kind of stage setting.
What do you call this hallway then?
For a long time, this hallway was a little too stagey, and we called it the Halloween hallway.
Right.
a
I never
haunted
heard
house.
Because we had a lot of flashing lights and it was a little bit over the top, but we toned it down and I think it's serving its purpose well now. Here we see the Guardian attack this swarm of cloth creatures because we need to illustrate to the player that this is one of its abilities and
It's bad, basically.
This is something they always talked about in Half-Life, is learn by death by proxy. So that's a technique that can work even in Journey.
Yeah, it was kind of a challenge creating these creatures because we wanted them to be very scary, but in a lot of tension. But we didn't want it to be overly frustrating. We mainly wanted you to feel like you're sneaking around and trying to hide from them, not really fighting them or getting pummeled by them. And of course, we couldn't actually kill the player, so we didn't really have, for a long time, we didn't know like what the punishment was for actually getting caught by these things. We knew we had to have some punishment, or players would just not take them seriously. And so the final thing we settled on was, well, they'll just rip off half of your flying ability, which
definitely hurts.
Yeah, it hurts a lot, and so I think that ended up working out pretty well.
That happened sort of nicely in tune with the sort of overall arc of determining the design of your cloth, your scarf, and kind of the extent to which, because originally you would gather actual cloth. I mean, like a long time ago,
right?
You would actually pick it up, but that sort of hoarding mentality would immediately come in when players felt like they were collecting something physical.
And they would start sort of competing to you got spotted. Yeah, even though Matt's trying to hide behind one of those other war machines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Nick and I worked on this. Nick and I were the original guys working on Flow for the PS3, and we have another segmented creature who eats food and digests it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the creature designs in Journey were at least somewhat inspired by the Flow style of creature.
I always wanted to push it even more, but
we had
only
the
so much
jellyfish. We had the jellyfish sound from Flow for a while in here, and it actually really worked pretty well.
Well, yeah.
It was pretty funny.
For a long time, the Guardian's face design was kind of a mystery, and that was definitely one of the hardest things for me to design in the game. And what actually brought me to the final solution was a drawing I did of the actual Journey character, where I tried to make an evil version of him. And even though that never really appears in the game, the idea of kind of an evil version of your own face was really kind of...
I think that's a fan art idea right there, too.
Yeah, it definitely was something that resonates. So.
But it's cool because they have only the one eye, so it just automatically feels sort of off kilter, you know, like there's something wrong or something deformed or something.
They also have the mask like you, but it lifts up to reveal the scary face, so it kind of makes you wonder what is under your own mask, or what is your true nature. Are you good or bad? It's kind of an interesting metaphor. The mountain is a lot closer now.
I always loved in this scene, and then in the next one, at the end of the next area, just the even though there's no moving facial parts, like there's no expression going on in terms of like moving eyes or eyebrows or something like that, when they turn to look, I always read so much emotion in that. I always, like, for me personally, it always there's like such a connection there, especially in the next one.
What's really interesting is that originally the character designs that I was doing, we actually wanted them to have facial features. I drew a bunch of things with eyes, and we kept reducing the character design. I mean, it was originally a very humanoid character with arms. At one point, I even had multiple arms on the character. But
You played Goro from Mortal Kombat.
it was pretty crazy. But yeah, due to the game design and the nature of the project, where we wanted to kind of condense the concept of a journey down to its core.
Wait, you gotta go.
Yeah, let's go check out Gary the Scarf.
Don't let that guy lead yet.
Anyway, that's why
Okay.
Oh, come on, guy.
You just
doesn't
start
wanna
going.
go.
No, he'll follow you.
Here's a big one.
Yeah, you'll convince him. It'll be worth it.
We need to see this.
Yeah.
Now let's say hi to Gary.
After the patch, it's gonna be gone.
I hope.
I think John had another one.
Hey guys, who knows what's gonna happen after the patch?
So this is something.
Ah, Gary. Hi, Gary.
What is this?
Gary the Scarce is he's just a guy like anyone trying to get by in the world. He found a little place where he can hang out, and occasionally he gets visitors, and he really appreciates it. Looks like our friend
What's
likes
the
him.
true story, John?
So this, I guess, was a leftover from an early prototype that we just never deleted from the level.
Actually,
Yeah, we
That's
forgot about it.
really a harsh
Visual,
thing to say about Gary.
It's a leftover from the Guardian who hasn't finished his meal yet.
Gary's gonna be fine. Don't worry. He's not gonna be eaten by a guardian.
so that's kind of an interesting.
So I think John and the other John Nesky found him a few weeks before shipping, but decided it might be a cool piece of history.
Well,
to
we
leave.
thought, yeah, since he'd already made it this far,